Okay, what happened between Porco and Gina? What is their story after the ending? I'll give you an answer to that. This is a cut from a scene quite close to the ending. Here we go. This side. Can I put it here? Okay. This image shows Fio's monologue. And did Gina win her bet? That's our secret. The answer is easy. It's shown in the film Porco Rosso. You see there is no one in this pavilion, indicating that no one knows what happened. This shows Fio going to Porco's... this scene shows Fio, in the end, all grown up, and she flies to Hotel Adriano on her jet. A plane supposedly designed by herself. Here you see... Okay, you see it here. Right here. There is a red plane docked. I think many people noticed this. I want to introduce some other details I found in this scene. This is Fio's designed plane. It's quite nicely designed. Flaps are tilted down nicely. Air brakes are open. And these things on the front side, they're leading edge slats. These are for producing turbulence and thus producing lift for landing. And they are open. Quite intricate. Now, I'll show you the enlarged view. It's much easier to see. The enlarged view clearly shows Porco's plane. It's docked on this pier. This pier leads to Gina's... it directly leads to Gina's private garden. That's where this red Savoia is docked. So when you simply watch this movie, you think that Porco must have returned to Gina. He visited Adriano in the daytime and turned back into a human. That's how you normally see what has happened to Porco and Gina in the end. Of course, you can see the ending in this way. As I mentioned earlier, it's like a multi-level structure where each level takes you deeper toward the inside of the creator's mind. Nothing is wrong with the normal interpretation. After the duel, Fio kisses Porco with the messed up face, and that turns him back to human. This happy ending is fine. Even if he cannot turn back to human, he lives together with Gina. A slightly bittersweet ending. This is fine too. Still, Miyazaki has drafted an alternative ending, which branches off from the actual storyline from this point. This point with Fio's monologue that I just mentioned. After she says, and did Gina win her bet? That's our secret. According to what is written in the storyboard, a sudden jet whining sound cuts into the scene. Sorry for the portrait view. I know it's difficult to see. A jet airliner suddenly fills the screen like this, and Porco's plane overtakes it. You can see Porco's plane from the inside of the airliner. This thing with a contra-rotating propeller is flying faster than sound at super high altitude. And Porco giving a thumbs up while overtaking the jet plane, and then the movie ends. So this was the originally drafted... No, not originally. This was the final scene Miyazaki planned until the last minute. In Art of Porco Rosso, the officially published book showing artworks of Porco Rosso, on page 83, you can actually see the completed version of this scene. Here. You can see Savoia overtaking a jetliner that seems to be a Boeing 727. The image has a background and it's finished on an animation cell, so they must have shot this scene. I've heard it was shown only to people traveling on JAL international flights, but now the truth is unknown. Ghibli publicly announced that they showed the film on the JAL planes flying internationally. They did show the film, but they never said they showed this alternative ending. I'm not sure I can trust people saying they saw this scene. But you can see from this quality, I think they shot it to be shown to the passengers on the plane. In Model Graphics, published May 1992, more than 20 years ago, Miyazaki did an interview and said he cannot wait until he can draw this scene. There is one cut where Savoya flies with a turboprop engine and contra-rotating propellers. It overtakes a jet airliner. It'll be so exciting. That being said, he must have made the scene. But actually, it didn't go on the theater screens. From this emblem on the tail of the plane, I guess this is a plane of Lufthansa Germany. This brand new Boeing 727 is flying. It indicates that the year is between 1963 and 1965, I guess. Porco was born around 1892. So, he should be well in his 70s, but not quite 80s. It's not impossible for him to be alive and still flying. So, how does Porco in his 70s, maybe around 75, look like? This is how he looks. This image is also finished on an animation cell with the background. So they must have shot this scene. He doesn't forget to wear a flight suit for flying in the stratosphere. You cannot see his face. Here you can see the heart mark with the letter G. This is what is known as a kill mark, and I guess it's safe to assume that G stands for Gina. So, is this a sign saying Gina is mine, finally? Or does this say, Gina shot me down, she broke my heart? I don't know. The point is, Porco, whether he is a man or a pig, we don't know, he is giving a thumbs up while overtaking the jet airline. What this is that this is identical to what I explained in the last lecture. Girls gather around the windows of a tourist plane, which is flying over Adriano, and yell, "Hey piggy, he's so cute." Porco goes, "Be careful or pirates will get you." And the girls go, "He's so cool." You see, it's the exact same gesture. This exact same gesture, it's the creators making. How should I put it? Something of visual parallelism. Oh, I'm sorry. This can only be interpreted as visual parallelism. You see, these are identical scenes, and what this means is that in the latter one, Porco in his 70s is still fooling around with an airline and enjoys seeing girls inside that plane go crazy. He's making a gesture saying, "How cool am I?" and just flies away. And that was the closing scene. It rhymes with the opening sequence, where Porco flies around the tourist airship, taking a round trip around the islands. Miyazaki even matched the traveling direction of the plane and the layout of the image of Porco, so that people can notice the parallel relatively easily. So, in summary, it goes something like this. On that summer day, there was the duel between Porco and Curtis. About 40 years later, Fio visits Hotel Adriano. When she comes near the hotel, she finds the Savoya docked to the pier and realizes that Porco lived happily with Gina. The ending, level 1. People who normally see the film for the first time arrive at this level. But Gina's pavilion, nobody was there. Fio's monologue, "That's our secret," hints that her sweet little secret should have skewed into ending level 2. The ending level 2 goes like this. Porco's plane docked to the pier, this one, is actually quite old. An old Savoya that is no longer used. Porco is still flying in the sky now with the new Savoia, having the turboprop engine installed. That's why the pavilion was empty. He is doing his routine of flying in tandem with an airline and always remembers to give a thumbs up to the girls. This kill mark of Gina may be referred to as a marriage mark, since the heart mark can be something like a wedding ring. So the guy is married and wears the ring, but that does not keep him from going to bars and flirting. This is the level 2. My old lady is at home and I'm flirting with girls, but come on, it's not like I'm cheating on her. As I mentioned in the previous lecture, Porco Rosso was supposed to be made for middle-aged men traveling on JAL international flights. So we married men, comrades, like the middle-aged men, call each other comrades. We middle-aged men have wives, so no cheating. We are married, we don't want to cheat, but let's not forget to be attractive to young ladies. That's the message this film embraces. So I suppose the original closing scene was deleted because they wanted to change the direction of the movie to not be dedicated to middle-aged men. The scene remained in the version they showed in the sky to be seen by the original targets. Nevertheless, in the version they released in the theaters, after the end credits, you see, here you go. This is the very last scene you see in the theater version. After the closing credits, Savoia flies over cumulonimbus clouds, flying at a super high altitude. This scene insinuates that Porco is still free. Even if he has decided to live with Gina, he would not have listened to Gina, hoping he would give up flying. So, he will be still living free, with his rules. I bet Miyazaki has decided that it suffices if this message can be imparted. If Miyazaki really wanted to focus on the relationship between Porco and Gina, he could have just put an old photograph on a table in the pavilion. That will speak enough about them. What Miyazaki wanted to depict was not the relationship between the two, but it was Porco Rosso himself. It's his autobiographical novel, and the plane still flying indicates that Porco's mentality is not chained to Adriano, and it is still high in the sky. It may be a rather macho tone. He can't be tied down by a girl. That's how he is depicted, hence the final scene instead of the photo in the pavilion.